with what people do, the damage they cause to others, but just accepting the person for his mistakes on an emotional level. Because we have this tendency, mainly male have it. I would say masculinity translates into conceptualization, while femininity translates into more emotional. And as a result, when you listen to what I say, and you're a guy that thinks really much in concepts, and I talk about emotional nourishment and such, it's actually very hard to relate to it because you're thinking in concepts and you're not really imagining as much the emotional foundation that brings about these conceptualizations. And that's why even in communication, sometimes the best way to communicate and help someone and make someone really truly understand is through emotionally relating to them and have an emotional connection. Mainly guys, what you can do is you don't look at it from an emotional understanding point of view, but rather from a conceptual understanding point of view. And that's why there is so much miscommunication between genders, and why women feel that they're not being understood by men, and why men feel like women cannot understand them. And the reason why that is because you have this masculinity, which brings about conceptualization, analyze, hunter-gatherer kind of mindset where you really structure and analyze everything, while on the other hand you have this emotional, more feminine way of nourishing the family and nourishing, social bonds and understanding the feelings that bring about this other side of the coin. And both are required for a society to function properly. And what I did was, even though what I said was really all very correct, like I even talked about self-love, I talked about self-confidence and all these things. At the same time, the how, which is the emotional way of coming across, was really way too judgmental and basically went against what I was saying. So the how and the what have to go hand in hand, and the way of being able to even create that synergy is by understanding the emotions and also appreciating them and allowing them to grow as much as the practical side of things, the conceptual side of things, the more analytical side of things. It's actually quite fascinating because I've been thinking about it, whether you're more masculine or more feminine. It's defined by hormones. It's defined by testosterone or estrogen. So you have hormones that define also quite some behavioral patterns. But what's really fascinating about that is that there is a synergy between the hormones and the way you just nourish. And either way, you have the biological thing and you have the environment. And basically, if you grow up with a strong masculine father and a very feminine mother, you learn how to have both sides, and your hormone levels have this synergy with your environment and such. And it's all things that, it's quite a lot of research about it, but it's a very different thing to really understand this and be aware that and realize that if you don't take all these things into account when you deal with trying to help people to help themselves, you really get yourself in a position where you do more harm than good. And that's what I realized. What I realized is that with the real talk, even though I did help some people that could resonate and had a stronger emotional nourishment and went already through the emotional phases because of enough self-love and such, the people that were lacking behind, I was doing way more damage to them. And that is basically the majority of the world. The majority of this planet, definitely in the more technological advanced part of the world, really lack this emotional nourishment because we are quite clueless when it comes to that. But here comes a problem when you grow to a conceptual level, right? When you grow enough emotionally and you nourish your emotional need of self-love, some more primitive needs are satisfied, you go to the next layer of development. And you have Maslow's pyramid of needs, although it's not fully accurate, but hey, you got several needs you have to satisfy. But once you're emotionally satisfied, you can go more to the mind, be clear-headed and use your conceptual thinking and cognitive empathy and such to understand the world. But the problem is if you're emotionally not fully developed and fully nourished, you can very easily be stuck in that. And then when someone